I'm Tom Key. I teach two different courses here at SUNY Oswego. I teach Introduction to Theater, and I teach Asian theater, the theater of India, China, and Japan. I work as a playwright, director, actor. Most of my acting these days is motion picture acting, which I do mostly in Boston, but also in New York to some extent. One of my plays, Mary's Little Monster, was just off Broadway this fall. And so that's what I've been up to. Been teaching for SUNY Oswego since 1999. I became interested in teaching theater because I was taught theater by some very engaging, passionate people who amplified my desire to be in the theater with their love of it. And so that got me excited about teaching. Pretty simple. I came from a kind of theatrical family. My mother was an amateur theatrical director. My parents were actually theater critics in the second largest city in Illinois. So we went to a lot of theater. I went to a lot of theater as a child, and then got involved in the theater pretty young. I don't think I probably remember the first time I stepped into a theater. I remember seeing Fiddler on the Roof in London when I was a kid, and being so close. It's a terrible story, but I remember being so close to some of the chorus members that I could smell the liquor on their breath when I was impression on me. I'm like, that's what I want to do for a living. No, I was, yeah. I got to see a lot of backstage when I was young, and it was a world that was engaging on a lot of levels, sordid to some extent also, which was, I guess, exciting to a young guy. But it was a fun world, and it was inhabited by very, very iconoclast people, and that's what I wanted to be around. I've been teaching online for a long time by a lot of people's standards. I got involved with teaching online here at SUNY Oswego when online education, I guess we would say, was in its infancy. And one of the advantages of that was I got to be around people who were pioneers in online education at the SUNY Learning Network, which is really one of the sort of premier online educational experiences that you could have. Most of the research that I've done recently has been in the world of immersive theater. I was in the original American cast of Sleep No More, which is one of the most successful shows in New York. It's certainly the most successful immersive theater production, probably in history. That show was, interestingly enough, kind of midway through my life in immersive theater. My first and probably formative immersive theater experience was here near Oswego at Sterling, at the Sterling Renaissance Festival. As a member of the improv company that was attached to that, I was cast out of Boston with a group of people that were drawn from Boston and Chicago and New York, and came up here, and we lived out in the woods and did improv and Shakespeare, and it was a phenomenal experience. I know my students as intellects. So like in a world where, it's weird, in a world where there are certainly cultural biases, and there's certainly a lot of perceived cultural biases, in the online world, we don't have any of those issues. Like I know my students, I know them because I interact with them, I discuss with them. But what I know their mind. And that's what I should know. I don't know what they look like. Lots of times I have no idea what gender they are. I have no idea what, I guess they probably guess at what my gender is or whatever, but they don't know my cultural background or ethnic or racial background. They just know what I am imparting to them in terms of the academic material and what I have to say about these topics. And that's what I know of them, and I love that. I love that we know each other that way and exclusively that way.